Stay tuned for another episode of the Coming Soon podcast with Spider.
Hello, everybody. Spider here once again. Coming Soon podcast, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. Being joined by the Three Musketeers. Gentlemen, introduce yourself, please.
You go first, Paul?
All right, I'll start.
Oh, yeah,
Paul
yeah.
McGinnis. I'm Paul McGinnis, writer.
Oh, you changed your thing. How dare you?
Oh, this is really
I'm Golden Groves, the cinematographer. And
I'm
editor.
Mike Buttino. I am the director.
handsome director. You got to correct that,
Handsome
man.
director.
There you go. There you go. And gentlemen, of course, I mean, you guys are all from New York. I mean, I was talking to Paul earlier, and he said it's raining. Is it raining everywhere? Where everybody's at?
Yeah,
We're
it's
just
like
gloomy here.
50 something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in Texas, man. We got hit hard this morning. I think I actually got to work early for the first time in a while because I don't want to be caught in the rain. So, they were happy. I showed up. But of course, man. I mean, when it comes to what you guys do, I mean, I gotta ask, what don't you guys do? Because you guys are involved in a lot of projects, man.
I can begin. Yeah, I do. I have a lot of weird nonsense going on. I do the filming. I have a paranormal investigation show on YouTube, and then I have like a photography side thing I do, which is mostly like spooky photo shoots and that kind of stuff. Plus my boring day job, but no one cares about that.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to hear about that, man.
Yeah.
Golden.
I mean, for the most part, work, family, and then do the movies. Usually try to keep myself focused on the movies and not go off on my own side quest where all of a sudden I'm planning the premiere and we haven't even shot one scene yet, which has happened numerous times. Paul loves that, by the way. Paul's always like, "Oh yeah. We should definitely think about what tchotchkes we're getting for the premiere."
I love the cart going before the horse every time. I'm like, who even needs the horse? Why don't we just not even make a movie and just plan the premiere party?
There you go.
I'm like, Paul, hey, we need that script because the premiere's in 2 months.
Oh man, no pressure, right? No pressure. But I mean, of course, guys. I mean, when it comes to this film, I mean, I had to look it up because I had no idea what Dyngus Day is, and of course, I saw a couple of interviews, and I'm like, okay, that's why I don't know. I thought I was alone. But I mean, what exactly is Dyngus Day?
Dyngus Day is a Buffalo staple. It really is. And it's funny when you leave this city, no one knows what you're talking about. And I always thought it was like, you grow up here and you're like, well, it's like another St. Patty's Day. It's like the Polish St. Patty's Day. I think, Golden, did you call it that?
Yeah, I said that the easiest way to describe it for people that aren't from Buffalo is it's St. Patrick's Day, but everything's red instead of green.
Yeah. And you still get drunk and belligerent over it. But you leave the city, no one's ever heard of it. It's based on a rite of spring. It's Easter Monday. Yeah. So it's always the Monday after Easter. And like, I guess in Poland, it's at another level. I was talking to a local actress who's third generation from Poland, and they go to town, and it involves splashing water and hitting people with pussy willow sticks. These are legitimate things you do. In this city, we basically just use squirt guns and whatever. I guess they use hoses or something in Poland. I don't know. But there's a huge parade in the center of the city and a lot of drunken Buffalo-ness, which is kind of the point of the city. And we have a blast with it.
Nice.
There's nothing else to do in Buffalo besides just come up with any excuse to get drunk. Yeah. We'll take any random holiday. It's like, oh, we can have a parade and drink and get drunk about it.
Eat and drink and we'll you name it. We're like, okay, that deserves special foods and alcohols.
Celebrate that winter didn't kill us.
There you go. There's something to celebrate about. So definitely. And I was going to say too, because here in San Antonio where I'm at, the same thing, man. There's holidays, it can be like a Tuesday, 70-degree weather, and that's enough for us to celebrate, man. It's got to be it's got to be one of those things where you got to be local, But let me ask you guys, I mean, as far as San Antonio, man, I mean, have you guys heard? You've heard of San Antonio, man? What's the one thing that pops up from the city? Curious.
I always just think of, because isn't Fort Sam Houston by there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So
Okay.
a lot of
Military, man.
my friends went there for training. So
Okay, cool, man.
My biggest knowledge of Texas is my buddy used to live in Austin, and I would go and visit him there.
Oh, nice.
And so it was great. I loved it. The few times I went it's an amazing city, just a lot of fun. And when I went, which was a while ago, the female to male ratio was definitely in my favor. I remember walking down the street like, oh, I have a shot here. So
Nice.
I should have stayed.
And I've heard of San Antonio. That's about as far as my
Oh,
knowledge.
okay.
however,
I'm curious only because I mean, of course, Austin. I mean, they're famous as far as the music and they're big in music, film. I mean, film festivals out there galore. San Antonio. I mean, I always ask people because it's the Alamo, Pee Wee Herman's bike, right? It was in the basement, so
Right.
people always remember that part from it. But I was just curious. But yeah, I mean, as far as New York, man, I mean, everybody's born and raised in New York, correct?
Yes.
yes. Also, though, to talk about San Antonio, the three of us are known for traveling to different cities to go on beer trips
Yes.
to sample breweries in all the different cities. So far, we've only done the ones that we could, drive to in less than a day. But we're going to get to the point where we're going to have to branch out to like flying
We're
to
gonna run out
another
local
state.
cities.
You can only get banned from so many places, and
Yeah. That's the way I feel here, and I'm here in San Antonio, man. So it's like I gotta start being nice to people, Keep getting banned. I mean, not recently, of course. This is the '90s, but yeah, man. I mean, San Antonio, as far as the countryside. I mean, half the California moved out here to Austin, San Antonio. I mean, the outskirts. It's a great city, great state. But yeah, I mean, but this film. I mean, of course, Dyngus Day, of course, is local to New York. I mean, you said Buffalo. But the fact that you guys are bringing this out to the world, literally, I mean, that's kind of a big thing, man. Because I mean, a lot of people are gonna know what it is now that you guys are actually putting this film out there.
That's what we're hoping.
I mean, not all heroes wear capes. I think that says it all. I really feel that. I mean, do we deserve our own parade because of it? I'm not saying no. We'll see what Buffalo decides to do. And then another reason to drink will be the September Brothers and this guy parade.
And that was like a big thing we wanted to do when making the movie is like make it so people who've never heard of Dyngus Day actually be able to enjoy it. Like we'll have a couple nods to like local Buffalo stuff, but we wanted people who've never heard of Dyngus Day to at least be able to enjoy the movie, and they'll end up learning what Dyngus Day is by the end of the movie, our own butchered version of the lore.
Right. It's a very loose interpretation of the actual lore.
Loose is a good way to put it.
It's a very, very loose interpretation. So anyone looking for that, I mean, we sprinkle facts in there, but if you're really learning the real, what it really means, this might not be the starting point. This might be the point that you Google it and go on the Wikipedia page. This might lead to that.
Nice, man. Nice. There you go. And I mean, you got to start somewhere. So of course, in the parade, I'm all for it, man. Why not? Everybody else seems to be getting their own parade. So
we're the gateway drug.
There you go. But man, I mean, the film, of course, is Hypnosis. It's a guy, of course, returns home. It's a small town. Leaves the big city. Tell us after that. I mean, what exactly happens? Because of course, you can't tell us the film. I mean, the storyline, but what's the whole purpose of him going back home? Let me ask you that.
So the way this all came about originally was that we all love holiday horror movies, and we're like, every holiday has to have a horror movie. All three of us, like Mike and I together, and then Paul on his own, but then he came together with us and said, why not do Dyngus Day? It's local to Buffalo. You don't have to worry about someone else stealing the idea. So that's where it came from. And then from us doing a holiday horror movie, we also wanted to sprinkle in some Hallmark holiday movie type stuff as kind of like a joke. So that's why it's the main character coming back from the big city and running into the girl that he loved in high school that doesn't know that he existed. And what's funny is that the two lead roles in that are Dom and Sarah. and they're married. And this is the first, we've cast them in so many of our things, and this is the first time we actually cast them as people that could have a romantic relationship, because they've been brother and sister, mother and son, they've been kidnapper and kidnappee, everything. But like, this is the time that they can actually kiss on screen, and everybody won't be like, oh God.
Because we hate love so much.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they are so in love, we're actively working to destroy that from within.
There you go.
And
There you
so,
go. Yeah, I mean, but that's cool because this is the fourth film that you guys have worked on. Is it together, or is it just as far as
fourth film.
Yeah. Oh, you've been part of all three of them.
yes, I have. I had to think about that. I was like, yes, I was.
Paul doesn't want to admit it, but he's been with us for all three of them.
Just admitted it, did I not? You shut your whore mouth.
Man, but of course, I mean, working together and of course, getting comfortable or uncomfortable, right? Whichever the case may be. But it's got to be. Do you guys still meet up? I mean, when the storyline came about, did you guys get together and say, okay, you know what? Or is this something that you told Paul, like, run with it? I mean, here's some ideas and fill it in.
A little both,
actually. Yeah. We met at one of the local bars and talked about, kind of like spitballed the original idea, let Paul run with it, and like anytime he was had a writer's block or something, we would meet up again, have a bunch of drinks, as this seems to be, and then we would get
and then never talk about it, and my hangover self would run.
That's what all of our movies basically were, just fueled from assorted alcohol.
Hey, what if? No, hear me out.
Man, and of course on this one, I mean, Golden. I mean, when it comes to the cinematographer, man, I mean, what else did you do with the film? I mean, or are you doing in the film?
I'm actually the Dyngus, so the killer, the killing entity in it, and I also play Dirty Man, which is a reoccurring character from our movies that I play. That's just a disgusting unhoused guy that, and by disgusting, I don't mean like he's unkempt, but more that he's filthy, as in a pervert and whatnot. And that's my reoccurring role in the September verse, as we call it. But I get to play both those, which has been a lot of fun. And it's honestly showing me that I like to spend a lot more time behind the camera than in front of it. And this is a first for me, because up until now, I was like, I'm going to cast myself in everything. I'm going to be the star of everything. And Paul's like, you can't do that. And then I punch Paul. And then he writes me out of the script altogether. And it's a vicious cycle. This is
real.
I say this is the first movie that I'm doing the role of cinematographer. Up before now, it's been Mike and I trying to do a lot of jobs all at once and never doing any of them as well as we should, because we were pulling ourselves apart to too many spots. And Paul was always on us about, you guys need to get help. You guys need to get somebody to do these other things so you guys can focus on what you do. And then I said, well, no, I won't get help for a cinematographer. And Mike and I will just do that. But I did pass off the producer job title to Kristen Skeet, who was working with us, who is amazing and way better at producer than I could have ever been. Like, she can herd cats like nobody's business. And it's a lot, because the three of us here are not easy to keep focused. Mostly, and I say that, but it's mostly me and Paul.
Yeah,
it's 90% of being Golden. Yeah,
we just try to keep Mike from going ballistic and his head just exploding. It's usually what it is going on.
The road trips are interesting.
Yes. So, but like, she's done amazing, like so good. And we actually have somebody running audio, because audio has been one of the biggest complaints throughout most of our movies. Like, has been audio. I think the first review of our first movie said it sounds like a 70s porn. So, which it did.
Man, well, let me ask you, Mike. I mean, because of course, when I had Googled you guys, I mean, the stories, the interviews that you guys are getting from local TV, is the local support there?
Oh yeah, people in Buffalo, we're obsessed with Dyngus Day. So like once we, even people who don't like horror movies, and once you say like we're making a Dyngus Day movie, it definitely perks up with everybody. And even like Channel 4, the local news station out here, they jumped on the chance to get us on there and
Sweet, man.
talk about it.
Yeah, I think we had like what 3 days to
Roll on the
prepare.
An accident.
I think we had what 3 days to prepare for that interview.
Oh,
they're like, they're like, yeah, we want you on. And we're like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. And they're like, okay, 3 days from now, come on over. And we're like, oh,
yeah.
Damn, it was on. That's when you. Well, let me ask you, because of course, I mean, you guys have been creating films and making films, but when has the support been as strong as it is for this one, as well as the other three?
I mean, I would say the support from the people that are the most important, like friends and family, have absolutely always been amazing for us. This is the first movie that I really feel like people that don't know us are being very supportive, and that's because of people like Paul, who's been really close with us this whole time and knows a lot in the Buffalo film community. So he's really been spearheading it. Then a few of the people that he brought on, like Amanda Woomer, which I probably said that wrong. She's then spearheaded it as well, and she's so awesome. And we were so happy that we got to cast her in the movie as well, because that was amazing. Like I've never seen her acting other than her audition reel, and it was good. But then when we actually got to see her when we filmed her scene, absolutely amazing. Like it blew me away. And then there were so many times that I was trying not to laugh as I'm holding the camera, just because of different things about her performance. And everybody else is in this has been so good. There's been so many times that I've been happy if I've been on a tripod because I've had to walk away from the camera just because I was ready to start laughing. Just solid performances from people. And
I saw you walk away from the camera the one day when Heather made her face. Heather Dunham, one of our actresses, is amazing. And she just made a face that I was watching, and something about the face she made me laugh. So I turned away so I didn't guffaw. And I see just Golden storming away from the camera. Just even I was like, well, I guess he saw it too.
Yeah.
I always have to film barefoot because once summer hits, I refuse to wear shoes. So it's always like flip-flops. And then I usually will record one scene and Mike will be like, get rid of the flip-flops. That's all I can hear. And I'm like, oh. Sends me off in shame barefoot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course, man. I mean, the friendship. I mean, when did it start? Did it start once you guys started making films, or was it something that, I mean, you guys grew up and knew each other?
Well, Mike and I worked together at a video game retailer, and instead of working, we talked about movies and found out that we both love movies and wanted to make movies, and that's where ours started. And then Paul got brought in because Mike's sister wanted him to go on a play date with us, and we all fought it, but we ended up doing it. And then we're all angry that she was right. Honestly,
I've been in the Buffalo film community for about 10 years, and I made a movie back in 2014 called Killer Rack on Tubi and YouTube about killer boobs. And Mike's sister, I worked with her in an office at the time, and she came up and she said, I think my brother's seen your movie. And I'm like, well, no one's seen my movie, but thank you. And so she was like, no, him, and he's friends with this guy Golden. They make stuff. You got to be friends with him. And I kind of did, because I get that a lot as like, oh, my cousin wants to do something. Yes, they all want to. And I'm like, great, okay. And then they did a short that played in a local film festival we have here called Buffalo Dreams, now Amazing Film Fest. And so I always like to support people. And I went and I had surgery. I had my gallbladder out 2 days before, and it hurt to go and it hurt to laugh, but it was funny. So I'm like, and I'm a very obnoxious laugher. So I'm sitting there holding my side literally, and then just snuck off. And then we ran into each other at a charity event after that.
Yeah, it was the Buffalo Film Community Christmas
Something
can
like that,
drive, ugly Christmas sweater thing.
And I showed up. I was still kind of, because that was in November, your thing played. So a few weeks later, so I still hadn't really healed. Couldn't drink, was just kind of like, why am I at this thing? And I'm standing awkwardly in a corner, and these guys came up and basically shook me down, and then we became friends.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, I mean, for sure, man. And I guess in the film community, I mean, Mike, I mean, yourself too, when you guys are out there, I mean, is it common for other people just to come up and be like, hey, you know what, I want to do this? Because I mean, everybody started somewhere. So of course, when you guys first started, I mean, what would be the first thing for you guys to tell people wanting to start filming? And we'll start with Mike.
Actually, the thing I tell people when they ask like how you get started, I just say just do it.
Yeah.
Like don't like, because if you're gonna overthink it and think about like, well, how are you gonna get it done, blah, all that stuff, how you're gonna make it happen, just start it, just do it and make it happen. You're not, and make a film that matches your budget. If you only have $20, make a $20 movie. If you have $20,000, you can make a $20,000 movie, but don't plan to make a $20,000 movie if you only have $20 in your pocket. Just make whatever movie you can with the amount of money you have, and just do it would be my biggest advice.
Man, and Golden, what are you thinking?
I mean, big thing that I would say is listen. Mike and I have never thought that we had all the answers. I mean, our first movie we made with almost no money, and it was absolutely wretched, but we did it. And then, like, as we've been working on more and more stuff, we've been working with these amazing people like Paul, like Dom and Sarah, and this time with Kristen. And even like Mike's the director, I'm the cinematographer, Paul's the writer, and all these things. But I have no problem with like Paul saying, "Hey, what if we tried this? What if we tried it from this shot?" I don't set up a shot and then just go, "Let's just go with it." I bring in Mike and Paul, and what's important is that I respect their opinions, because like we've had other people that will be on set that like are like, "Oh, we should try this," and these are people that have never made a movie, never done anything. They just were there as extras that were supposed to be just drunk in the background, and it's like, thank you for what you're trying to add, but no. So, but people like Paul and Dom and all these guys, they say something, I listen. If I have an idea that I want to try out, I throw it to Paul or to Mike or to somebody. I'm like, "Hey, what do you think? Can we pull this off?" And what's really important about these guys is it's never a no. It's either, well, we could try it, and we can try it the right way, which is usually what Paul tells me. Or sometimes it'll be like, I like that, but what if we did it a little different? We did it this way. And I think us working together has gotten Dyngus Day to what it's going to be, which is honestly, and it looks so much better than anything we've ever put together, and that's without any editing yet. Then once Mike starts editing and stuff, I think it's going to be amazing, and people are going to be blown away, and they're not going to know who made this movie. Like they're not. They're going to be like, that's not the same people that had a skeleton puppet host an entire anthology. But it is, because we've really grown, and I think this time with leaps and bounds with bringing in the right people to do the right things. I think that's going to be the huge thing, and that's what I would definitely tell people is work with, on who you can network with, listen to their advice, but always hold on to your own vision.
Sweet, man. And Paul, I mean, of course, we're gonna go with the right answer, right?
I think the best advice I ever got when I first got, and I stumbled into the film community, just was an extra in film, and got to know like one of my biggest advice people. There's actually a couple. Gentleman by the name of Greg Lamberson, who's a huge author and filmmaker, Buffalo native. He kind of took me in and like showed me a lot of what I currently know. And then my friend Mike O'Hare, who we sadly lost in 2020, he was actually one of my biggest booster before I even got to know Greg, because I was an extra in this movie. He kind of pulled me aside and said, "Oh yeah, and I started working with a bunch of people, and I learned a lot. And I always say the best advice you can get if you want to be a filmmaker is just make yourself available. Be there to help on whatever level. Don't be afraid. There's, the old saying of there's no small roles, just small actors. Be an extra, be a whatever you can." I did PA in a couple, because Buffalo has a lot of Hollywood films come to us because we can kind of look like New York sometimes. So I got to PA in a couple movies that I learned a lot on, working with Greg, working with Mike. We have so much talent here that I kind of just would go from place to place and just absorb what I could.
Right.
And until I met Golden and Mike, I really was my own person. I didn't really have, I was a man without a country, and wanting to do more. And thankfully I met a couple guys with a lot of untapped potential and talent and a lot of ways of thinking. So just, get out there, especially for independent stuff. I mean, none of us are doing this for the cash, unfortunately. We're doing it because we like doing it. We're doing it for the fun. We're doing it for the love of it. And something about that's kind of freeing, because I'm not relying on this for a paycheck. Unfortunately, still have a couple day jobs myself.
Right.
And but you have so much more creative control, and just can have fun doing it. And that's honestly, just have fun and be available.
Nice, man. Now, of course, I mean, when you said earlier, Paul, you were talking about making yourself available, because a lot of times, even here, I mean, local producers, directors, like, they'll jump on other people's films just because they're like, hey, I need an extra, or I need somebody, and they're like, yeah, like, no problem, and and that's kind of what it leads to, because at the beginning, I would say you kind of do a lot of everything.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to be directing, but at the same time, you're holding the camera one day, next day you're going to help with audio, and it's just multitasking. But I mean, at the end of the day, like Golden was saying, I mean, you just stick to what you want to do and just keep going with that.
If you've never done independent film, you've never held a boom mic. I can't tell you. One of the first times a boom mic was shoved into my hands, like, okay, here's what we need you to do. I'm like, oh God, oh no, oh, can you see? And then I realized, like, oh, okay, you just do. So like, boom operator seems to be the one job I think anybody's ever worked in indie film. Like, you get handed it at one point. And exactly. It's don't be afraid to do anything, and you can learn. Like, I don't just, I went in wanting to act because I've been acting since high school, and but ended up picking up these other jobs where I learned the ins and outs. And honestly, actors have it the easiest. Yeah. That's what I've definitely learned as an actor. That's why I prefer being an actor, because they have the easiest jobs. But there's so much talent behind the camera that the more you can learn, the further you can go.
Let me ask you this, because even Golden earlier was saying that he prefers to be behind the camera rather than be in front of it. Would you guys agree and say that a lot of times, I mean, the roles pick you more than, like, when it comes to the film industry?
I think because, like, with Mike and I originally, we were like, we wanted to be 50-50 on our movies, and Mike was the director because that just suited him right. And I went to producer just because we were just getting started in our minds. I was like, those were the two important roles. Those were the two ones that you split all the stuff. And what it really ended up being was Mike did all the tech stuff. I did all the people stuff. And that was great for us, and it worked really well. But with this movie, when I'm like, you know what, I've paid attention to all these other people that were doing the cinematography role, and it's such an important role for our movies that we didn't want to have to find someone else to do it that wasn't part of us, that didn't see our really weird visions that we have a lot of times. So at this point, I feel like everything's kind of finally finding our right places in all this, because this movie has been working so much better with where the roles are. So it's kind of like those puzzles where all the pieces around you just like shake it violently until all the pieces fall where they're supposed to go. And that Mike tries to shake me violently like anytime we get together. So it works.
And Mike, I mean, for yourself, I mean, like Golden was saying earlier, I mean, when you guys first started, you kind of split the bill right down the middle when it came to work. But did you have goals of being an actor? I mean, were you like, you know what, I want to be in front of the camera?
I'm in front of the camera a little bit. I also have a reoccurring character called Spicy Bob. He's a nice barbecue joint owner, basically. And I was in front of the camera. I was a superhero at one point. But for the most part, my acting is absolutely terrible. I can't remember more than one sentence at a time. So me being behind the camera is definitely, I've been making little fun movies since I was a kid, with my dad's expensive VHS camcorder.
Oh, nice.
Like one of the movies was a toilet that ate some guy at one point when I was a
I
kid.
thought it ate your sister.
So I was making those movies. I was making movies for a long time, and it was kind of nice switching the role to what we have now, where I can focus specifically on the directing. Because doing the directing plus holding the camera and doing all that stuff, it's a lot to try and focus. So at least now I can focus directly on the camera and on the directing, and Golden can be working on the camera, setting up the shots and making sure those all look good. Then it just works so much better having the role split a little bit more that way and a lot more focused.
No, for sure, man. Because like Paul was saying earlier, I mean, unfortunately, there's no money when it comes to the films that you guys are making. I mean, but there is. I mean, you guys have an Indiegogo campaign going on. So when it comes to funds, I mean, of course, they do help with the post production for you guys to be able to get the locations, bring more actors on board. Tell us a little bit about the campaign and what's going on with that.
So yeah, right now it's in the, I don't know, I can't remember what they call it, but where it keeps going after the original one was over.
Like a
So
live
we're still
campaign or
getting
something,
there.
I think.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So and we had a relatively modest budget that we were looking for, and mostly that was because we got very lucky in that we don't have to pay for locations. We know enough people that have really awesome locations, and I've actually gotten really good at just randomly messaging business owners and being like, hey, are you okay with us just showing up and filming some stuff? We'll try to keep the blood minimum. And that's really helped us out, because like we did at a sculpture park, we've got the local theater, and the local theater owner has been so amazing with us. Like that's where our premieres are always at. So we've gotten all those things. So a lot of our budget, we originally went for 5,000. Then we had a stretch goal of 7,000, I want to say it was, and that was because we had a chance to get an actress on, and her minimum was 2,500. So we were like, okay, if we get to 7,000, we can afford to pay her,
Right.
and still make this movie. Then that fell through, unfortunately, or I say unfortunately, but I'm kind of happy it did, because that freed up a lot of money for important things like food on set, and like things like we have a lot of equipment that we've picked up through the years that was good enough, but not really that good. Like most recently, our tripod for the camera, when I was trying to brace it to get us one shot, it slowly lowered down, but only one leg. So all of a sudden, my shot just went.
Oh man!
And now we have a really nice tripod, thanks to that.
We call that an artistic choice, Golden.
Yes.
What did it symbolize when the whole scene did this?
But yeah, so I would say, like with our budget, and I mean, definitely could use more, just because we have a lot of plans and stuff that we want to do. That we haven't gotten to the special effects heavy portions, like the kills and stuff. So if we have more money and views than that, that's definitely where it can go. So we can do some really nice kills, because Paul's written some really cool ones. And nice thing about Paul is he understands independent film. So when he writes these, he writes it to something that we can pull off. In fact, I think at one point in it,
right, whatever we can afford to do here.
That's actually lines in the script, is just we can do some sort of magic. I don't know, whatever we can pull off for our money.
Do a Dyngus Day related kill here.
There you go, man. That's when he goes 80 gallons of blood. No, you know what? We'll do 40 gallons. You know, we'll keep it. We'll chop it in half and make it affordable.
I would absolutely love to have a kill that just is ridiculously over the top amounts of blood, being as an Evil Dead fan.
Yeah,
like that would be amazing. I mean, obviously, some already got on Paul's shirt, so
there you go. That's where half the Indiegogo probably campaign went.
Went to Paul's
wardrobe. My wardrobe. Please contribute more.
There you go. There you go. Put some more
think it's cheap to look this good?
Man, but of course, I mean, filmmaking. When it comes to music, I mean, who's in charge of the music for the film?
That's another place that we've gotten really lucky. So last year, the town that Mike and I live in, which is just south of Buffalo, it's a small town. They had an art crawl, which was just like a bunch of local artists showing off their stuff, plus musicians. Mike and I had set up a booth, which was mostly so that people could buy Mike's photography, because most people were like, "Oh, you guys are making a movie? That's so cool!" Then walk away. But we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, this like roving band comes up and gets ready to start playing. And at this point, Mike and I had been sitting for like 4 hours in direct sunlight because we didn't think to bring a tent like all the other smart people. So, and we're both bald and we were both just basically getting cooked. So I was like in no mood for a band to start playing right next to us. But then they started playing, and they're actually like a polka band, which is Polish music. So I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is perfect. So I just sat next to them, and they played their whole set waiting to hand them our business card. And it's Captain Tom and the Hooligans is the name of the band. They do I'm trying to think of their tagline because it's pretty cool. It's basically modern renditions of old school traditions. So they do a lot of like really fun polka songs, like not your grandma's polka music, definitely. And they recently just released their album, which includes a song called Dyngus Days. And they've said that we can use their entire catalog for our movie. And at the same time, Dom and Sarah, who I will never stop telling everyone they're amazing, they introduced me to a friend of theirs that does music, and she was looking to start scoring movies. So they're like, hey, she would like to do this stuff, and she's the right price because she was free because she's trying to get into the stuff. And so we really put her to the test recently with we got this amazing shot in the one day, and I was like, we just need the right score for this. So we sent her screenshots of it and said, this is what we want, this is the kind of mood we want. And she sent us just I think it was just yesterday or the day before, her score for it, and it was like perfect. It gave the exact emotions we needed, which was supposed to be like soulful and just introspective. Another big words that I don't usually use.
That just popped in your head, right? You're like, hey.
Exactly.
But man, of course, the whole small town feel. I mean, Mike, is this something? The film itself, is it not? I don't want to say personal, but is it something like, okay, you know what? I grew up in a small town. Was this something that both you guys, Golden? I mean, you guys related to?
Yeah, it definitely hits a lot close home because we definitely grew up in small towns. We even make many jokes in the movie saying everybody talks about the big city, like the old Hallmark movies, which is Buffalo is a big city for us. But the whole thing, most of it takes place in like in a small town, and has that small town feel of just a town that's obsessed with Dyngus Day, pretty much.
Nice, man. And the reason I bring that up is because I mean, I was a mailman or letter carrier, right? What they call it now, for 15 years, and I was lucky enough to deliver in small towns like south of San Antonio, and I used to get a kick out of like their daily newspapers. I used to have to, a lot of them got delivered, but the headlines was always like, so and so arrested in front of his house for drunk driving, or so and so's cat, had a litter. It's just like there was nothing going on. So like whatever was going on, that's what they were putting out there. But because of that, I liked it because they had that small town feel. Everybody knew everybody, which is good and bad, because you're doing something, everybody's gonna know, right? But yeah, I mean, I always wanted to move out there and just to kind of, live in that little. I love the people, man. I mean, everybody was nice, for the most part. The businesses were family owned. Everything was, came back to the people basically. You supported everybody and they supported you, so it had a nice little feel to it. But I mean, this movie, I mean, of course, I mean, it's a small town feel. The fact that things go array, there's a killer on the loose, of course. People. I mean. Production, I mean, post-production, I mean, when it comes to filming, when are you guys looking to project this film to come
out? We're actually looking to bring it out in April, which will be right around Dyngus Day. So that's why we're choosing that time. And for the first time, we're actually giving Mike I think it's gonna be like 8 months to edit, which normally we give Mike like 8 days to edit.
Yeah,
because we usually plan our premiere before we've shot the first scene. So when it ends up coming down to Mike has no time to edit, but this time he's gonna have 8 months because we want to do April just to kind of go with the holiday. And I think like Paul, I know Paul's proud because he's like, oh, look at you guys actually giving everything time to do stuff professionally. And this time, like, I'm gonna see if Mike will misspell our one actress's name again because she's been in 2 of our movies now, and both times her name was
different names.
misspelled.
Let me ask you.
Premieres are awesome.
And Mike, let me ask you on that being said, the pressure. I mean, do you work better under pressure? Would you say?
A bit of both. It depends on my day. Some days I like to go at like a nice casual time, have a few drinks and edit. And other times I just work really well. If I'm like forced to, I have to have this done by tomorrow. So I have to get this moving. So it all depends. Sometimes I work better completely under pressure. Other times I just like a nice casual. I'm going to spend all night and put my feet up and just edit this thing.
The reason I'm asking is because they're saying you got 8 months, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, are you like setting up a schedule? Okay, well, I guess I'll,
Oh, that's definitely
take
gonna
a
be
little vacation here, go somewhere here, and then come back and write or edit and keep going. But that's cool though, man. I mean, of course, when it comes to the premiere, I mean, you guys are gonna have it the local theater, like you mentioned earlier, Golden. I mean, are you guys gonna have it there the first showing?
Oh, absolutely. The owner of the theater is so awesome with us. 2 of our 3 movies have been premiered there, and it really helps also that Mike and I can walk to the theater from our houses.
Oh, nice.
So that means we can also stumble back to our houses from the theater when the premiere happens. But the owner, Russ, has been so amazing. He's been so helpful. And our premieres are a huge party. Like we get the theater. We have this theater going. We've got a room set up that we put up a chance auction where there's a bunch of stuff that's movie related. There's a bunch of random things, but you can, buy tickets and try to win all these things. And we usually have a jersey that we make for each movie. Like Mike's are actually up behind him.
There you go.
The shadow box.
Win stuff like this.
And then, you can win stuff like that Paul wanted our first premiere. We like to make it a party and like really thank everybody, because for the most part, all the people that are showing up at the premiere are the ones that have been there with us from the beginning. Like, and they've brought friends and stuff, but we really want to thank all these people that have helped us get these things made, because it's always been such a good time. And usually the tradition is we go there. Mike gets really dressed up in like a suit and stuff, and I wear like our jerseys, and then he complains about being hot, and but that's how we do it. Like the one time the Skeleton Xylophone was in August of a couple years ago or a year ago, and it was very, very hot, and Mike was in a full suit, and I was in shorts and a hockey jersey, and I was sweating, and it was great because Mike had to keep coming outside just to cool off. But yeah, it was a great time.
Nice, man. Now, guys, I'm gonna ask a random question for each of you guys when it comes to. I'm gonna see what your response is, but we're gonna start with Mike. Mike, if you had the opportunity to direct a big budget film or co-host in a big budget film, which would you take?
I would love to direct a big budget film.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I would love to. I would love to see what can be done with like an actual like real budget. Like even this movie with the small budget we have is more than zero, so that's been a nice change. I can only imagine having like actual money doing one.
Millions.
Nice, man. Paul, I'm gonna go with you, sir. Say WWE, man. They get you. They want to put you on the roster. You got to come up with the name and the finishing move. What are you thinking?
So I have a persona that I've had since I was in high school that I made up for myself called Fanboy, but with a PH because it's like Phantom. So I would have a half mask. I would probably get a cloak because I'm dramatic as fuck. Oh, can we swear?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You
doesn't
ask
like it.
after
He's
you
in the
already
trailer.
did.
But so I probably just get like, I don't know. I just see myself swooping in, dropping chandeliers on people, and getting.
Oh, nice.
You know, I'm using props. I can't. This physique isn't really threatening to anybody, so I got to go the mystery. I got to get all Batman and hiding in the shadows, and then swoop out and cause bad things to happen.
Sweet,
The
man.
fanboy, the mysterious fanboy.
There you go, man. I think I'm pretty sure they're going to be calling you pretty soon, man. We'll get you on that roster soon enough. Golden, for yourself, my man. You get 24 hours to go back in time or go in the future, but you will return in 24 hours, man. What would you pick?
Oh, I'd go back in time, I think, and you know, tell myself about some huge mistakes that I should probably stay away from. Also, I mean, I love history and some things like that. So I think I probably would go back in time just to see some things.
Go to that Coliseum, man.
Oh yeah, there you go. So you go to the Coliseum and just fight a random person.
There you go.
I think he would go back in time and bust unions in Pittsburgh because he shares a very striking resemblance to a. We did a ghost tour and he looked just like the guy's name was Frick and he looked just like him. So I think this has happened. And this guy busted unions in Pittsburgh and we need to stop him for the monster he is right now. So anybody, if you see Golden, just punch him. I gotta stop this evil now.
Even at the premiere, right? It's just
right. Just go
that's probably when it would happen.
We need unions, and then hit him with it, and then the fanboy will jump out at him.
There you go. You see, that's where everybody jumps in and helps out, man. So I can dig that for sure. But gentlemen, my man, I appreciate you guys jumping on here. You know, Mike, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up when it comes to why people should go watch this film.
It's just going to be a lot of fun. Even if you don't like horror movies, we think you're going to like it because it's going to have a lot of comedy and fun, have that weird Hallmark holiday feel with it. It's just going to be something really unique, and we think the script's super funny, and I think people are really, really just going to enjoy it.
Sweet, man. And of course, man, I appreciate you guys. Paul, thank you. Golden, Mike, appreciate you guys for jumping on here. I'm going to be following up. Before you guys release this film, I want to bring you guys back on, man. Even before then, you know, we'll bring you on and chop it up and see what else.
Definitely.
You know, what kind of trouble you guys got yourself into.
We appreciate you, sir.
Plenty.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
No, not a problem, man. Don't hang up yet, guys. Everybody out there, of course, once again, Spider here, coming soon podcast. As always, follow up.